Welcome to KiwaniTalk. My name is Renee, and I will be your host for tonight's show. KiwaniTalk is a public information program put together by members of our Dearborn Kiwanis Club. Did you know that we are the longest running cable program in the world? And I'm really happy to be here tonight to introduce our amazing speaker, Tim Kirchmer, and he is the president of SportsWorld. He's going to share the program that they do all over the world, and we're working very hard to get him into our Dearborn schools and our Dearborn Heights School programs. Thank you, Tim, for being here tonight, taking the time to drive all the way to be here with us tonight. And I'm going to try not to talk too much, but I want to open up. So if you go ahead, tell us a little bit about you and SportsWorld.
Well, first of all, we're just grateful for the opportunity that you're giving us to be able to share the message about our mission and what we're doing for young people all across the country. So I want to thank Kiwanis Clubs for that opportunity.
It's our pleasure.
SportsWorld is a 43-year-old organization, and our platform is former professional athletes. Our founder realized 43 years ago that professional athletes had an overwhelming impact on young people. And so he mentored a lot of NFL players back in the day, and then his goal was to put them into the school environment where they could share their stories, their struggles, their accomplishments with young people to encourage them. So our slogan has been for the entire time, you're not born a winner, you're not born a loser, you're born a chooser.
Yep.
And that's a pretty powerful slogan when you think about it. So we've been a school assembly program up through COVID. We still are. We expanded greatly into social media. I'll share that in a little bit later. But our goal is to bring a message of hope and encouragement to young people in schools everywhere we can.
So you said it started 43 years ago. I'm sure that it's totally different now, the kids that you're working with. What kind of problems or what kind of message did the kids need 43 years ago from those athletes?
Well,
compared to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wasn't there 43 years ago, but I can only imagine where I was 43 years ago when I was a young person, and I'm older than that, honestly. But you know, kids back then seemed to struggle with, maybe there was a lot of alcohol and things like that. So in fact, we were a big part of Nancy Reagan's Say No to Drug campaign when she launched that.
Yes.
We had several speakers in the White House and the Oval Office with Nancy helping to promote that program. So, I'd say it was maybe a lot of the dare, the drug, and the alcohol.
Yeah.
And, that's still an issue now, right?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
But it has been surpassed a bit by mental health.
Yes.
Right.
So could you share a little bit about the impact that this program has made, and with that, how the speakers play a big part in the impact that when you bring this pro speakers on, what is the impact with these children?
Yeah, well, I can tell you without question that young people can smell a fraud a mile away, right? They don't want to be talked at. They don't want to hear facts.
Right.
They want to hear real life.
Real life, yeah.
Right? Because that may be where they are right now. So the impact that our speakers make, which is absolutely amazing, is they're not afraid to get very real with the young people. They're not afraid to get transparent about the mistakes they made, the things they had to struggle with, how they overcame them, how they were able to accomplish that high pinnacle in sport in each of the sports they were in. And when a young person senses that they're being real with them, that they're really openly sharing, it's probably one of the most written comments we get from students is, "Thank you for being real. I didn't want to come today. I thought it was another assembly, but you really spoke into me today."
Yes.
And that's what kids are searching for.
Yes, absolutely. Right? They're not their parents that they have to listen to. It's, and I want to ask you, like, who are some of your speakers? As far as I know, most of them are the NFL. And of course, when you think of, NFL is it's football. So do the girls also come to the assembly with like, oh, it's a football player. How do they reach to the girls and the boys that are in this program? And who are some of your well-known speakers?
Yeah, no, I'm glad to answer that. Our founder and his son back in 1978 were responsible for starting the chaplaincy program in the NFL and the AFL, which is why every NFL team has a chaplain program.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why we're kind of heavy. Our roots are grounded in the National Football League. We have Lee Rasan, who's a two-time Super Bowl champion, New York Giant. We have Jeff Neal, who played for what is now the Tennessee Titans. Steve Grant and Ray McElroy were Indianapolis Colts. We've got a former San Diego Charger. And so it's the question is interesting, right? Because we get asked that a lot. Not just with how girls respond, oh my gosh, I'm going to listen to a football player, but what about the kids that aren't athletes?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That don't even care about sport.
Yeah.
And I would say to you that it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something unique about somebody pouring into you that accomplished a level that most people haven't gotten to. And it's really almost kind of unexplainable, but it really doesn't matter. Now, we have several very talented women speakers.
Yes.
We have two awesome former WNBA
Yep.
players. One's a two-time Olympic gold medal women's basketball, three-time Olympic gold medal softball. But they're very accomplished speakers.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, they've spoken to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of young people
Right.
through their tenure.
Yep. I will have to say that one of them is from the Lions, right?
He is
Andre
actually one of our newer speakers.
Yes,
He's been
so.
with us for 4 years, Andre Fluellen.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't know how I overlooked that. I'm
I was
sitting
saying,
here in Dearborn,
well,
Michigan,
yeah,
and
hello.
I didn't
you
say
went
Andre.
past the Lions football field there.
I just spoke to Andre on my way here. So, yeah, Andre's one of our newer pros, does an amazing job, former Detroit Lion.
Yeah, so I read about him and I was just really touched. My daughter's a diehard Lion fan, so she might even fly in for this program. But anyway, so tell me a little bit about how your programs are different from any other speaker-based assembly for children.
Well, because it's not just an assembly program.
Okay.
There's a big difference between pro athletes that speak to children and pro athletes that have a real message for children. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Mm-hmm. A lot of people in their position aren't willing to get transparent and really open up and share everything about their life,
True.
like our speakers do. But the other things that make us unique is in every assembly we distribute comment cards.
Yes.
Okay? And our pro challenges, the young people at the end of the message. I've shared a lot with you today. I've shared everything about myself with you today. I want to hear from you now.
Okay.
What did you think of my message? Did you not like it? Did you like it? Are you struggling with something? Mm-hmm. Do you need help with something? Is there something on your heart that you just want to get off your chest? Because I want you to share that with me. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to read every one of your cards that you give me before I leave your school today. And there's this amazing bridge of trust that forms throughout the message.
Yes.
And then leading up to that, where we find young people are opening up and they're writing things down on cards that they've never told anybody before. And actually, the last time we were in Dearborn Heights, I witnessed a young student, a girl that came up to Andre with her card, and she said, "Now, are you sure you're going to read my card? You promise you're going to read my card?" And he said, "Yes." She goes, "Because I don't want to give it to my teacher, and I don't want to give it to my parents."
Wow.
Right? And so, and he honored that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, I can share with you candidly. There was a 10th grader in Dearborn Heights that wrote, I took 20 pills and tried to kill myself. We had a 12th grader in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, and she wrote on her card, "This message meant so much to me today because I was going to kill myself in the restroom this morning, but there were too many people in there."
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, as hard as that is to read, The good news is they wrote it down.
Yes.
And because they wrote
That's
it
the first
down,
step.
we're able to give them help.
Well, you know, and when you talk right here, a couple high schoolers, I remember seeing a card in your brochure that there was a 7th grader that talked about, he wrote, "I want to die. I'm dying inside." And you think about 7th grade, okay, that's just the beginning. I mean, there's younger kids in that. So what happens when they get that card and a child obviously is reaching out? How does your program continue to help them?
Well, we do a couple things. One is, like I did today with a superintendent that I met with in Dearborn Heights, is we prep them to understand that you need to let your counselors know that they may be in receipt of more students than they realize when our speaker finishes his message. And that actually happened at a middle school in Dearborn Heights, where the counselors were overwhelmed, right? And so what happens with the cards is the cards are read with our pro and volunteers that help us, you know, with that assembly. Any card where we even sense the slightest red flag is initialed, and they're taken into the counselors and the administrators to photocopy so that they can take action right away. On the back of those cards, also, the kids are challenged to make a decision to stay drug and alcohol free or other. And other is often, unfortunately, bully free, vaping free, that kind of thing. So we want them to physically take a pen and make that commitment.
Do you feel that by having them put it in writing that it has more of an effect, because now they're speaking it and somebody's finally listening? But I think when I put things in writing, it helps me like see it. And you think by having these kids fill out that card is they're making like a true commitment, like, I do need help, I've written it, I'm now sharing it, now I have to follow it.
Well, it absolutely does. And I mean, you know, you hear all the time that, you know, when we set goals for ourselves to put them in writing, there's something about putting them in writing that
to-do list.
etches that, right?
Yeah.
We did a outreach in Staten Island, New York, and a young man wrote on the card all kinds of concerning things that were telling us that he was on the verge of committing suicide. And when the principal read the card, he was shocked. And he looked at our speaker and he said, "That's the last student in my school that I ever thought I would have to worry about." And so the cool thing is our speaker went back to that same school a month later to speak to another group of kids. And that young man asked the principal if he could meet with our speaker, and he thanked him for literally saving his life. So, you know, when they write it down,
well, and that's the impact. They write it down, and they have actually someone that's going to read it and listen to it. And we're going to take a break in a couple of seconds, and I want to talk more about like the impact of, you know, having your speakers come and share their depression, their suicide, you know, what they wanted to do and how they came out of it, and how having all these assemblies in the schools that we want to bring to Dearborn Heights and Dearborn, how we can save if one child at a time. Baby steps, but I think having this program here. So we'll be back in a minute, and we're going to tell you more about how SportsWorld can help our children in today's world.
There must be a lot of love out there in the world, at least if you think of all the things people say they love. But it's funny. Sometimes the things we love the most are the ones we don't talk about often enough. I mean, the things that bring true change to a child's life, to a community, to the people who come together and make change happen. Think about what you love about your club. Think about the children it reaches. Think about the pride it gives you. And think about this. Thousands of Kiwanians around the world love being members of their clubs too. So think about what could happen if we all shared our Kiwanis stories. After all, there's a million things to love in the world, but there's nothing like a love that makes the world better. So, show it. Share it. Let the world know.
I think it's really critical to plant seeds of faith in young people, just like it is in anything else. Character is developed as you're young. And I tell high school coaches all the time, they talk about wanting to come into the NFL, and aren't you glad you coach in the NFL? They've got such a tremendous opportunity. They get these kids when they're 16, 17. When we get them and they're 24, 25, they've made choices a lot of times, and they're formed their ideas already. But getting the message to young people, especially spiritual messages, because that's going to help them not make some mistakes as they're growing up. And if we can do that's critical. It really is.
Hi, and welcome back to KiwaniTalk. I left off with a thought about how and where in our school system these kids need this program. We had pandemic, and as you know, pandemic shut down a lot of our schools and a lot of our kids, and we found through this terrible pandemic that there were so many kids that were contemplating depression and suicide and bullying. And so give me a little bit how you started and continued to grow this program during pandemic.
Yeah, that's a great question. I tell you, we had been struggling to figure out social media for 40 some years, right?
Still struggling.
Still struggling. But we just refused to be shut down. I mean, obviously we couldn't get in any schools. We couldn't do any assemblies. And I think what a lot of people kind of realize, but maybe don't realize, is that for a lot of kids, school is the safe place.
Yes.
Okay? And so we just weren't going to lay back and wait.
Okay.
So we locked arms with some very talented young people, and we launched an aggressive social media platform. We have our own TikTok page. I know there's a lot of negativity about TikTok, but we're putting good content on TikTok,
yes.
Positive content. And we have some very talented young people we've contracted around the country that are putting content on there every day. So we last year was really the first year it was in full motion. We had 6.99 million
Whoa.
young people view our content.
Really?
Right? Which is, you know, in a non-COVID year, we would speak to about 200,000
Wow.
students face to face, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden we're reaching millions.
Yes.
But we still felt like that face to face interaction was important. So now we're meeting them on their phones where they are.
Yes.
And even if they're not in that safe place,
Yep.
at least they're able to see some positive content. So what we did is we started streaming our speakers live twice a week. On Tuesday and Thursday nights at 7:30 Eastern Time, one of our amazing pro athletes is streamed across TikTok, I believe YouTube and Instagram simultaneously.
Okay.
And it's open forum. They share their life, they share a lot of what they would do in
Sure.
a school.
Yep.
But guess what? The young people can chat questions in,
Yeah,
and
and
the
nobody-
speakers can answer the questions. And so it's just been amazing. We now have over 43,000 young people following us on TikTok.
Wow.
And since January through June of this year, over 22,000 logging into our live events.
Well, I'm going to have to get one of our young Key Clubbers to show me how to follow you on TikTok. I'll
not
do that
hard.
at our next Key Club meeting. So what Michigan communities are you currently bringing the program to? And the reason I ask this is we have Kiwanis all over the world. Okay, so
Right.
you've already touched some of the world. But here in Michigan, we're going to a big conference in Bay City.
Right.
Hopefully you've got your table and you'll be
do.
there to spread that message. But, you know, there's so many Kiwanis cities in Michigan that need you, okay, that need this program.
Right.
So tell me right now, where are you?
Well, we've been bringing the program to Benton Harbor for several years. Muskegon, we're doing Muskegon, Grand Rapids again this fall. We've done a lot in Detroit Public Schools, Dearborn Heights, obviously, soon to be Dearborn. We've been reaching out to Mount Pleasant schools to try to get the program there.
Okay.
We would love to get into Saginaw, Midland, Bay City, Flint. Rochester Hills.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
suicide and depression don't discriminate
No, they
based on
don't.
our
Yeah.
economic position,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, with the the horrific situation that happened at the high school up in Oakland County, the need is everywhere.
Yeah.
Lansing, but you know, we need volunteers and people to help us, you know, break through to those
Right.
communities.
And I think, you know, with you being up in Bay City for our Michigan convention, and you've hit a lot of the cities that are going to be there. And I think that it's so important that that message is there. And, you know, if you're going to have help manning the table, but it's just, I think since the pandemic, people are becoming more aware, but they don't know. And I think it's important, like the parents don't know what to look for.
Right.
Who do I call when I think my child is like, why are you not eating, or why are you on your phone? You know, so I think having that message at convention and spreading it around, you know, Michigan, because I'm from Michigan, but I think you're doing, you know, you're all over, and just the message to have out there. It's just, we have to spread the word, our Kiwanians,
Right.
you know, have at their meetings, you know, have someone come speak to it. You can go where some of the pro athletes in that area to go speak at their meetings, speak at the key clubs, you know, maybe next year at their SLC key clubs convention, I'm going to put you in to be a keynote speaker there. That's
Great.
where all of our high school kids will be, and I think that's where you need to be. But we need to also figure out how we get the younger kids involved. The younger kids in the middle school and the elementary schools, they're going through
Right.
that too. You're finding that out? I mean, little kids are...
Oh my
What's
gosh.
the youngest age you've...
I had third, fourth grade.
So that's what, 8, 9 years old?
Yeah.
8, 9 years old kids are going
Yeah.
through depression, being bullied, thinking suicide, not having enough food to eat.
Yeah.
SportsWorld can, not the food part, but the SportsWorld can help those children. We have to get this program, I mean, all over, just not in
Yeah.
high schools.
No, we have speakers that are very good at speaking at the younger grade level.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow. So why are service clubs like Kiwanis important to your organization?
Well, it's your reach and your connectivity to the community. We don't have that, right? We don't know your administrators and your school principals. We don't know your businesses. We rely on a volunteer network for our program to be successful in any community. And that's what service clubs are about, right?
right.
In their own way, shape, or form.
Right.
And Kiwanis does amazing things for young people all over the world. I know that. I live in Indianapolis. Your headquarters are there.
Headquarters. I'll see you in a
right?
couple
I know,
weeks.
I know about it. But it's just, for us, it's a great avenue to break into a community and say, hey, here's what we do. Can you help us? And if you can help us with schools, great. If we need to work on the funding, we will. If you can help with some of that, I mean, how cool would it be? Who gets a chance to ride around all day with a 2-time Super Bowl champion and take him into schools and listen to his message and read what's going on in the kids' hearts in your own community? To be able to see that in writing.
See that in writing. And that's one of the big things that I know our club in Dearborn, that I've already put that out there, because you do need volunteers, the Rotarians, the Kiwanians, to take these athletes around, these speakers around, and get them to where they need to be, because they need to be there. And so not a lot of the kids can drive, or they can't drive with an adult anyway, but so we are looking also for volunteers in the Dearborn Heights area. If you want to, be a part of that, just reach out to someone in the Dearborn Kiwanis Club. What happens when the speakers do their program and they're done?
And they leave?
They leave the school.
That's another great question. We get asked that all the time, and it in a concerning way. It's great that your speaker came in and impacted our kids, but they pack their bag and they leave. Then what?
Yeah.
Well, the comment cards are a big part of that, right? So we're not going to leave any young person that's written down a need go without help. We have through another organization that we partnered with, 7-day-a-week, 24-hour-a-day, 365-day-a-year teen crisis chat. So our speakers let the kids know, and there's a tear off on the comment card, if you just need to talk to somebody, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're thinking you're going to make a bad decision, whatever. Text the word choice to 494949, and they get an immediate person texting them back. Doesn't matter when it is, doesn't matter where they are. And the goal is to have a conversation. What's going on? What do you need? You know, where are you at? What?
Yeah.
And so it's such a powerful program that when we do an outreach in a community, we electronically submit all the itineraries of all the schools we're going to be in to that organization. So they know we're going to be in this high school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They know who our speaker is. They know what grades we're talking to, the principal's name and emergency number if they need it.
Okay.
Right? And so we do that so they can be staffed
Yes.
to do that. And I can just quickly share with you, we did an outreach in Sioux City in November, and there were 15 meaningful chats that were reported out of that high school, and a meaningful chat is a suicide plan diffused.
Wow, that's amazing. That's what we need. Just in closing up, I know there's so much. Tell us about your TikTok, your address for TikTok, Instagram, your website, your phone number, and how that anybody 24/7 at this point seeing this program, even though you may not have heard it yet, at the schools, they will be coming in October. Give us the date, but the phone number that Tim will give us, you can reach that phone number anytime at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, during normal business hours,
Yes,
you can reach us. I knew you were going to ask me for our TikTok handle.
Okay, well, we'll get it to
I'm still 62 years old, and I don't remember all that. They are all posted on our website.
Okay, what's your website?
In the upper right. So the website is sportsworld.org.
Okay.
And if you want more information on how to get involved, you can click Get Involved.
Okay.
And it will let you know the ways that you can do that.
Okay.
We have Facebook, Instagram, we have YouTube.
Okay.
And
they just put in SportsWorld.
SportsWorld Inc.
Okay.
At SportsWorld Inc.
Okay.
For most of them. The TikTok we just changed up because we were running into, it's a pretty common name, SportsWorld. So we were making sure that they were going to the right place.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
But it's on. They can click the icons on our website and connect right there.
Well, this has been. Thank you for coming here to share this. It's a need. If you are an organization or a business out there and you want to become involved in helping children, your grandchildren, your niece, your nephew, your sister, your brother, if you have someone in your family that needs help, please reach out to us Kiwanians in Dearborn. We can connect you with Tim. You can go to Tim's website and you can reach out there, but we need help. We need you. We need you, Dearborn. We need you, Dearborn Heights. Please reach out to us and let us know how you can help us, help all these children that need Tim in his sports world and his pro speakers to keep our children here. Thank you.